1. We can't do weddings at the moment, but I was thinking about a past wedding which went so wrong. The wedding party wasn't much fun, to say the least, but the DJ was great, and he'd been playing great music since the early afternoon. No one was dancing, the mood was awful. I honestly think the bride and groom had some pretty shitty friends. Anyhow, the DJ was really doing his best, but getting more and more frustrated that no one was dancing. He was drinking wine, and this was starting to work its magic on him. At midnight, he literally fell asleep at the turntables. We didn't hire this DJ, the best man did. The DJ was supposed to be sleeping at the best man's house that night. The best man saw the problem and tried to wake the DJ. Bad move. The DJ woke and started ranting that this was the worst wedding he'd ever been to. He had a point, but this didn't go down well with the groom. A scuffle ensued. All guests left the ballroom. The groom, the best man, and the DJ are swinging wildly at each other. A woman is screaming. Why is there always a woman screaming? Anyway, the scuffle breaks up. The DJ is left alone in the ballroom. Everyone else is in the garden. Now the fun starts. The bride had hugely over-decorated every table. Loads of vases, colored stones, glass beads, etc. The DJ proceeded to lift up every table and flip it over. We heard the crashing and rushed in. He then dismantled his own equipment and threw everything across the room. There was glass everywhere. I tried to calm him down, but he was in a blind rage. I tried to get the best man to take control, but guess what? The best man had left. He was taking the bride home, as she had burst into tears and wanted to leave. The groom tried to calm things down. That woman started screaming again. Still, why this screaming? Now everyone was leaving. I got the DJ a mug of coffee and got him sat down. Now we are alone. My ballroom is wrecked and this guy has nowhere to go. After a while we decide he could sleep in his van outside. I get him out and into his van. He proceeds to start it up and repark it. I don't know why. He hits 3 flower pots, my wall, and some garden chairs, and then promptly blacks out. We locked the doors and went to bed. Next morning my husband makes him a coffee and he remembers absolutely nothing from the night before. He sees the mess, gives us his disco light, says he has broken ours, and leaves. The bride and groom sent an email the next day saying they weren't paying the bill as we didn't serve the midnight snack. They would be in touch with us after their honeymoon. They paid their bill eventually. We never saw or heard from them again. The best man and his wife have become regulars, so a happy end after all. 2. So our restaurant is located in a square that shares space with many other businesses. All of the storefronts are outside the square with multiple loading docks inside the square for trucks, deliveries, and trash. Our back door goes to a hallway that leads to the loading dock and is shared with 2 other businesses. The loading dock is about 4-ish feet from the ground, and we go out there to toss our trash and cardboard into the 12-foot containers. I have been working the evening shifts for a while, and have not been the one to take the trash out during closing. I'm usually doing something else, but this night I decided to take the trash out. The bartender was like, "Who's going to take this for me?" Which I thought was really lazy, but didn't question it. I scooped hers up with ours and carried 3 large bags to the door. With all 3 bags in my arms and my back to the door, I hit the door handle with my elbow and took 1 single step backwards. Some information that would have been really relevant to me at the time. The landlord had hired a construction crew to come in the mornings and replace the loading docks. Up until today, for some reason, that door had been completely taped off, and you could barely get it open. Everyone who had been taking trash out had been walking completely around the square to get to the loading area where the dumpsters were located. I took that single step backwards to find that there was no longer a loading dock there. I took a 4-foot fall onto rough concrete and landed on my back and ass, lightly hitting my head. With the wind knocked out of me, I just lay there for a minute. I have sustained major injuries in the past and know not to move or jostle yourself if you might have a back injury in case you make it worse. For 5 minutes, I laid out back. I could hear this group of women just out of line of sight having a laugh and a good time about something. And I looked around to see that the entire dock had been gutted and is filled with multiple containers. I eventually got up in time to see the door open and I stop our host from making the same mistake I did. I eventually hobbled myself inside because my leg hurt something fierce, and there is a sharp pain in my back. I tell the current manager, who flips because the tape was still supposed to be there, and he was mad that there was no warning. I get the incident report filled out, grab workman's comp info, and I take off of work the next day, a $225 day, to go to the ER on the hospital's recommendation. I waste 5 hours there for them to tell me nothing is broken, thank the Lord, but I have a swollen nerve in my ass that is pushing on other nerves, and is causing pain in my whole leg and hip. Only time will heal it. On top of that, my phone was in my back pocket, and the impact broke my screen and some internal pieces, which sucks because I use it for working at home. It's working again, but who knows for how long. I make jokes and have a laugh about it, but had there been any harder debris or rebar, or if I had landed in some other way, I could have seriously broken something or died. I could have been laying in the back, surrounded by rubble, listening to some bachelorette party gab on and on while I bled to death. It's been a few days, most of the pain is gone, and I'm just a bit stiff. All of management is worried, and I have their full support in whatever I want to pursue. Some are telling me to sue, some are telling me to bring the new phone receipt in, to have the landlord take care of it. I have already heard that blame is being shifted back and forth between the landlord and the construction crew. I am mostly healed already, and my phone is 4+ years old, so I am thinking that the price difference will suggest they won't help. Honestly, I'm just happy I didn't almost die again. 3. So a little info. I am a shift manager in training at this small fast food restaurant. We serve 4 different types of food bowls. There is a small, large combo bowl and kids meal. A small, large, and kids bowl consists of 1 choice of meat, rice, and vegetables. The kids bowl gets a cookie and a drink because of the meal, and the combo bowl has 2 choices of meat, no drink included. The large and combo bowl are in the same sized plates. On to the story. So it's the middle of a dinner rush, and I'm doing my best to go back and forth to help all my coworkers. About an hour later, I head out on my 10-minute break. Everything was fine when I left, until one of my coworkers came up to me and told me that this lady is holding up the line and keeps saying that all cashiers here need to be re-educated. I go and speak with her. Then the following happens. By the way, my memory's a little bad, so I'll try to remember the important stuff that was said. Hello, miss, what's the problem? I'll tell you what's wrong. Your workers need to be re-educated because they don't know what a combo is. I'm sorry? I have been coming here for quite a while now, and I have been getting this kids bowl combo the way I want. And now she's telling me you guys don't do it that way. Yes, miss, we never did, and it's not allowed. I try to explain the menu to her, but she keeps interrupting and repeats the same thing over and over. She then gets my other coworker involved, and says he needs to be re-educated because he asked what she wanted in her kids' combo bowl. He didn't. Truth was, he was taking someone else's order in the drive-thru. I've had enough of this woman's nonsense, and I had to end it. But the next thing that came out of her mouth made me mentally facepalm myself. So what do you want to do, miss? What? What do you want to do, miss, so we can end this? What do you mean? Just charge my order already! WTF. This woman took the time out of her day to waste almost 10 minutes of everyone's time, just to pay for something she didn't want. Most customers would just leave, but this woman just wanted to complain for something she had no knowledge of. We don't give special bowls out for anyone, and I sure as hell would never give her any special treatment. I'm sorry for this long rant, it just pisses me off that there are people out there like this. I'm an emotional person that has a nasty attitude, but I have to keep a forced smile on my face for the company. I also don't like giving out attitude because I hate acting rude to others who clearly don't deserve it. I just wish there was a smart way I could have countered this lady's stupid tactics towards us. What could I have done better? I don't know, I'm just tired of my BS. For the record, I try my best to be a good person and wish the best for others, but it feels good to let out my dark side and hope that she chokes on a fat horse. Anyway, thanks for listening. 4. So I worked at a theater where you would order from your seat. When we were open, we had a regular who was the ultimate Karen. Thankfully, I only had to serve her once, but I've had many conversations with people who had more interaction with her. And thought about this lady a lot during the COVID, and I figured I'd share. Here are some things she used to do. We had one theater that had under-table lights that didn't work. It was a huge inconvenience for everyone because it was impossible to see anything help anyone, and people couldn't read the menus. One day, Karen ended up in this theater and asked to speak to a manager because she had a medical condition, stating that her eyes had to be exposed to light at all times, otherwise she would die, and the light from the projectors didn't count. We serve food on metal trays as part of our aesthetic or whatever. Every time she ordered the same thing. One of our basic sandwiches. That she made hella complicated. On a special plate which we only brought out for certain movie specials. Everything cooked a certain way, extra of this, none of that, add this, etc. A real only 3 ice cubes kind of thing. Her reasoning? She cannot touch any metal, because she has a medical condition and she will die. She needed popcorn with no salt. Now, I don't know about any other theater, but when we made popcorn we put salt on it before we pop it. It goes oil, kernels, salt, slam the lid, so if someone orders popcorn with no salt, they're gonna get salt anyway. I had another server ask me if it was possible to get no salt. I said no, as there is always salt in the popcorn. Next thing I know, this lady comes out of her theater screaming she can't have salt because she and her husband have had strokes before because of salt, and they can't have salt. I explained to her the basin is coated in salt due to the way it's popped.
Nonsense, she states. They've done it for me before. They're lazy. It only takes a little bit longer, which is why they won't do it, and they've done it for me before.
I guarantee her it still has salt in it, and that we cannot guarantee it is salt-free.
That's fine, a little salt won't kill me.
And with that she storms on back to her movie. I begrudgingly popped her a half batch of saltless popcorn, and to this day I still regret it. We always got told our popcorn wasn't fresh, even when it literally just came from the popper, because we served them in metal bowls, and they assumed that since the bowl wasn't hot, the popcorn was old. For people who asked for fresh popcorn, I would just put the bowl under the heat lamps for like 5 minutes, and they assumed that it was fresh after that. 5. I used to work at a fast food Chinese restaurant chain that has our food held in pans on a heated steam table, and customers can choose whatever they want. A little explanation on the plate bowl prices. Regular plates, one side of either rice, noodles, or mixed vegetables, and 2 entrees of whatever dish you are choosing, usually cost around $8 to $9 including tax. If one of those 2 items is a premium item, upcharge of $1.25, then the plate would be a little over $10. A regular bowl, one side, one entree, costs around $6 to $7 with tax. If somebody wanted to add a second entree if they got the bowl, it would be the same price as a plate. If the second entree was a premium item, the bowl would still be the same price as the plate, a little over $10. This happened way before COVID and during the end of the lunch hour in the middle of the week. It was just me and another co-worker working the line with one of the cooks, re-cooking our popular sides and entree dishes. Our AM was in the back with another cook cutting vegetables. I was on the register and a man came in and ordered with my coworker. He wanted a bowl but wanted a premium second entree inside the bowl too. Okay, no problem. That's totally acceptable. The customer is always right. So my coworker just added the man's second entree on top of everything else in his bowl, and he said that was fine. When he got to me, I charged his order as a regular plate. Admittedly, I should have just did it right away and charged it as a bowl with an extra entree, but I figured that it's the same price so it wouldn't matter. When I told the man his total, around $10 and something cents including tax, he asked why it was so high. I explained that he got a premium item with his plate, and he argued that he didn't get a plate. I explained that I meant a bowl, but his order would still be the same price, nevertheless. He kept arguing that I was overcharging him and that I charged him wrong, even though he hadn't paid yet. Finally, I was like, okay, fine, I'll change it, and changed his plate order on my screen to the correct bowl with extra entree order, and guess what? It was still the same price. After he had paid for his food and left, and after the rush, he called the restaurant, and my coworker answered, complained again that I overcharged him, charged his order wrong, but since I had ended up putting his order back in correctly, I knew he wouldn't have anything to complain about, since I fixed it on the screen and his receipt reflected that. I also knew that once he would start eating his food, he'd see his second entree, and realized that he did get all his food after all. After the phone call, my AM asked what had happened, and after we explained, she just told me to put the order in correctly, even though we all knew it'll be the same price, and if a customer tried complaining again, to send them her way to deal with. That was the end of that, because I never heard anything else about him coming back in to complain. Usually, if somebody asked about the price of their meal, I always explain it to them nicely, and in a way that they'd understand. But sometimes there are people who just don't get it. I don't work at that restaurant anymore, thank God, but I have many more stories. Thank you for listening. 6. So for background, I work at a store where customers pick what they want to order, then go sit down. There are no servers to come to a table or bussers to take away trays when done. We will clean off a table if customers leave these things, but we just help people to clean up after themselves. Anyway, I tend to work on Saturday mornings and early afternoon, where a lot of MIDI customers like to come in large groups of people. I have a group of customers come in almost every Sunday. We have a deal on Sundays where kids eat for free with the purchase of an adult entree. This family consists of a mom, dad, and 2 teenage boys twice my size. These boys get kids' meals every time, and the discount is given. This Sunday, the mom wasn't with them. I asked the dad about her. I found out she was homesick. He was picking up food for the family, and was taking something home for her later. I asked him if he wanted me to put her food in her hotbox while they ate. He thanked me and paid for their meal and went to sit down. About an hour later, I went out into the lobby to take out the front trash that was overflowing. I took the bags to take out and realized the table had left all of their trays and food on the table when they left. I decided to change out the lining of the garbage can first, then put the trash from the trays and the table into the new bag. While I was taking out the overflowing garbage, one of the boys approaches me with a tray for the trash can. I told him just set it down on the table with the other trays and I'd take care of it when I was done. He disappeared from my view, and I thought he did as I asked. I finished replacing the lining and went to take care of the trays to discover something. The boy had taken all of the garbage from the table and put it in the topmost tray with all the other trays underneath. I thanked him greatly for that, and he then threw out the garbage from the previous customers. I thanked him again, and he then went to sit back down at his table. I took out the trash and came back to the front to help clean. The dad came up to get the mom's food and asked for a lid for his cheese dip. I asked if he needed a bag for any leftover chips. He said he ate them all. I then got a bag out and gave him a new thing of chips and told him that he has an amazing son, and said that this was a thank you for his help. The dad took the chips with a smile and thanked me as well. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates, episode 100. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories and sent in stories for use in this video. Sorry it's only 6 stories to celebrate a 100 episode. I would have liked to have made it 10, but partly my fault because, well, entirely my fault really, if I'm perfectly honest. I'm the one making the video. But I'm recording this a week in advance, so there aren't as many new stories available as there would ordinarily be. What I will do, this might sound a bit weird, but I haven't missed a week of Spinning Plates since I started doing it. So, episode 104 will mark 2 full years of doing them. So if I can, I might try and do something a bit longer for episode 104, by way of a celebration. Also, plus side, that does mean I am now at 22 minutes past 9 on a Friday. I'm done recording for my week off. I now have to do lots and lots of editing. You'll hopefully have seen me through the week at some point, either in the Discord server or maybe I'll be doing a stream or something. You know, I'll maybe play a game. Just to check in and say hi. I don't want you to think I've forgotten about you while I'm doing all that important toe wiggling. And hopefully I finally get around to baking that cake I've been planning to bake for the past, a month? More than a month? I know, I do need to get a new whisk though. But I'm afraid to go outside because, well, there's death outside. This might be the time to actually do it. Get the bike sorted. I've got a new mask. A new mask arrived today. It is like a cycling mask, you know, the kind of thing. I don't know. But I do need a new whisk. Although I've got my electric whisk. I don't think I've used that since I last baked a cake. Probably time to get that out. Okay, I'm completely just rambling and zoning out here. With that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.